dreaming that she had to relearn how.
Hey everyone, welcome. I am Coach Linda, and this is 100 Days of Purpose. We're having some technical difficulties there, but we're all good now. Today, I am going to talk about opportunities. And so, just to catch you up, if this is your first video watching with us, I talk about purpose as a form of a vehicle, and the vehicle you need oil, which we haven't really gone over that, but we will in these 100 days of purpose. You need the oil, you need the gas, which we've talked about, which is passion. Passion comes and go and needs to be refilled, but passion is not your purpose. And then we talked about the 4 good tires that you need to have, and we talked about willingness. You got to be willing to take that first step, willing to make the necessary changes, willing to even locate and find what your purpose is, and then willing to do whatever it takes to live out and walk in that purpose. And then we talked about the resources, and understand, if you are willing to do whatever it takes, whatever you have in your hand, you start there, and then you will see, as your willingness allows you to grow, your resources will grow. We also talked about yesterday your influence. Your influence is going to grow as your resources grow, as your willingness grows. And the great thing about it is that today we're going to talk about opportunity. So the 4 wills that you need is resources, influence, opportunities, and willingness. Resources, influence, opportunities, and willingness. And I started with willingness first because you got to be willing to do some things differently. You cannot do the same things over and over again and expect to get the type of results that you want to get. If you want to be successful, you've got to make some adjustments. You've got to understand what worked and what didn't work. And failure is not an option as far as getting down or what am I trying to say? Failure is not an option as far as falling and not getting back up. Failure only means that thing didn't work. That way didn't work. So what do I need to do? What kind of adjustments do I need to make so that it will work? When we look at the movie Apollo 13, where this statement was made, failure is not an option. They failed many times trying to figure out what was going to work. And so you've got to understand that I cannot stay there. Denzel Washington said it this way: you must fall forward. You've got to fall forward, not backwards, not stay where you are, not stay stuck. That's why one of the questions when you come to me as a client, one of my first questions to you is, why are you stuck? Because I need to understand why you haven't moved forward, why you keep talking yourself out of taking that first step. So you got to be willing. And then when you find out that you are willing and you use whatever resources you have. Again, resources is not just money, but resources can be your time, your talent, your effort. It can be money. It can be a plethora of things. Okay. So you take what's in your hand right now and you start working with that and you start maneuvering with that. And then you'll find that whatever influence you have over the people that are in your circle, the people that are assigned to you, that influence will start to grow, because one person will say, hey, look, I went to Linda and she said some really good things. Maybe you should go and listen to her. Oh, I went over here and maybe you should go over there too. And so now more people are going to be attracted to the message that you are giving, because you're using the resources and the influence that you have to move it forward. And as you begin to use your resources and they begin to grow, and as you begin to use your influence and it begins to grow, you'll start to see that what happens? You start getting more opportunities. Case in point, I used yesterday that I've been talking about purpose on Facebook for years now. I've done at least 3 other 100 days of purpose, right? And some of the people that are coming to me now have heard me year after year after year after year talking about purpose, but something happened this particular time where something clicked and they're like, look, let me reach out to her. Let me talk to her because now I see. So when you are open to making maneuvers, when you are open to making steps, when you are open to doing whatever it takes to get you from where you are to where you ought to be, where you're going to be, then you will start to see that there are going to be opportunities that become available to you. Opportunities, people are going to want to interview you. People are going to want to read your books. People are going to want to have you come and do public speaking engagements. People are going to want to hire you as a coach if that's what you're doing. People, you're going to find promotions come, things that are going to put you in a better place so that you can influence more people, so you can get more resources. So number one, you got to be willing to take that step. Number two, you've got to use what you have now. Do not talk yourself out. Do not wait for everything to get perfect. If I waited until everything was perfect to start my business, I probably still wouldn't be in business today. But I took what I had, I took whatever resources I had, and I said, let me start using it. And in the beginning, it was meager. In the beginning, it didn't look right. In the beginning, I was frustrated because I wanted to do more, but I didn't have the resources to do more. But as I began to move, as I began to allow myself to operate and to do what I could do right then and there, I started to see that my resources started to grow, and then I could do more. I started out, I didn't have a website. I started out, I didn't have, the type of money to do advertising and things of that nature, but I went ahead and I got on and I started talking about purpose. Even though there was thousands and maybe millions of other people talking about purpose, they still were not talking about it in the manner in which I was talking about it. So I was willing to take that first step. I was willing to go out, and some people laughed at me. Some people said, well, this ain't gonna work. She's always doing something. What's she doing now? Whatever they were saying, I had to believe in myself, and I had to take what I had. I didn't have investors come right away and say, hey, look, Linda, here's $5,000 to get you started. Here's $20,000 to get you started. I didn't have that. I started with what I had, and it was meager. Hear me when I say it was meager. Right? I was lucky if at times I even had $100 to invest in anything. But what I did was I took that first step, and that willingness, what am I trying to say? That willingness allowed people to hear me, see me, and then choose whether or not to work with me. Now, there are some people that said, well, I'm just going to wait and see. Well, that's okay. There's going to be that. But what you need to understand is that you start where you are. You start with the resources that you have. You start with the influence that you have, and you watch the opportunities that come because you're moving in a space where you belong. That's why the Bible says it this way, that your gift will make room for you. Here, I'm going to say it this way. Purpose will make room for you. When you are walking in your purpose and doing what you are meant to do, doing what you are created to do, doing what you are designed to do, the people that need it, the people that want it, the people that desire it will begin to seek after you. They will begin to look for you, right? They'll see that, wait, there's somebody over there waving a flag, and I think that's the color flag that I need in my life. And so they will come to you. You will then start to see that things begin to shape around you. I say it this way, be you and the world will adjust, because you make the room. You don't fit in. You break into it by saying, look, this is where I'm going to plant myself. I'm going to create a space that only I can feel, and opportunities will come. Opportunities will start to pop up. They will spring up in your desert land, and they will spring up in your dry places. They will begin to spring up, and you'll start to see green life taking form. And you got to make sure that whatever it is that you're putting out there is evergreen. Because if it's evergreen, if you don't understand what evergreen means, it means it's always in season. It's always available. You've got to understand that when I started talking purpose, I started teaching myself. I started training myself. I started going to other people and gleaning from them, I started making sure that I was always available to whomever, whenever they would come to me. That's why after 5 years of coming online and talking about purpose almost every single day for 100 days, I can still say now that people can come to me, because not only am I getting better with my message, because I keep rehearsing my message, I keep blurring my message, I keep talking my message, I keep putting it out there, my message is becoming more clearer, but I am not only that, I'm growing and I'm moving, and I'm beginning to see that if I do what it is that I meant to do, if I am who God created me to be, if I seek and I'm asking for the people that are supposed to be connected to me to come to me, and I'm waving that flag that they are looking for, I have what it is that they need. Remember, you are somebody's solution. And if you are not out there, and if you are not doing what it is that you need to do, then they can't get their problem solved, because nobody out there is their solution, only you are. And so there are people looking for you. There are people desiring what you have, but you keep trying to give it to the wrong people. That's why you're not seeing the opportunities that you need. When you stop trying to give it to the wrong people and you say, who is my tribe? Who am I supposed to be connected to? You will start to see the opportunities come to you. They start knocking on your door. They will knock hard on your door, and they will continue to knock on your door, because only you can fulfill that opportunity. Only you can glean from that opportunity. So again, when you are being a person of purpose, when you're taking that sip of life, you're going to be strategic, you're going to be intentional, and you're going to be on purpose. And when you are strategic, intentional, and on purpose, guess what? Opportunities begin to knock on your door. Opportunities begin to come to you. You start to make money. You start to feel like, look, my life has meaning. But you got to know why you exist. You got to know why you're breathing. You got to know why you're taking up space. Why didn't you die last night? Why didn't you get snuffed out when you were in that car accident and you should have died? Why did those bullets whiz past your head when one of them should have hit you? You've got to understand why you are still here. You've got to understand why there is still space for you in this world. Why now and not later? Why now and not 10 years from now, not 50 years now from now, not 100 years from now? Why are you here for such a time as this? You've got to know what that is, and the opportunities will come to you. When you become clear, when you get that clarity of thought, when you start to use those resources, when you start to use that influence, when you start to be willing to do what it takes, regardless of what other people think, regardless of what other people say, regardless of who else out there in the marketplace is doing it, regardless of who's out there doing what it is that you think you ought to be doing. Remember, you are not the title. The title only gives them a glimpse of who you are. When people ask me who I am, I don't tell them I'm a pastor. That's not who I am. That's what I do. What I tell them is that I'm meant to heal the brokenhearted. I'm meant to bring wholeness to the broken. And how I do that is through my ministry. How I do that is through my businesses. How I do that is through my books. How I do that is through my podcast. So when you start to see that, you start to see that everything around you, all that you are, underlines who you truly are. Opportunities are waiting for you to get clear. Opportunities are waiting for you to be willing. Opportunities are waiting for you to use the resources that you have. Opportunities are waiting for you to use the influence that you have. You want more resources, you want more influence, you want more opportunities, then be willing to take that first step. Because in your willingness to take that first step, everything else will follow. I am Coach Linda. This is 100 Days of Purpose. And I want you to understand this. If you can see the invisible, you can achieve the impossible. So I want you to dare to be you, because the world will adjust. You have a blessed day.
Oh.
I don't know why it won't let me turn it off. Maybe it want me to say more, but that's